One of the more famous stories in the Torah appears in this week's portion, the story of Yaakov and Esav. These are two brothers or twins who are born to Isaac and Rebekah, and Esav was the firstborn, followed by Yaakov. Esav turns out to become a ruffian, a man of a man of the field, a hunter, a man that deals with tough stuff. And Yaakov is the more refined, studious, religious man. One day Yaakov is making a bean soup, and Esav comes in from the field very tired. He asks Yaakov if you can give him some of it, and Yaakov makes the famous deal. He says, if you give me the birthright, I'll give you the bean soup. Birthright meaning the firstborn status, which Yaakov really wanted. And Esav agrees. He says, what do I need it for? And the deal is made. Hundreds of years later, in the book of Exodus, we find that a God charges Moses to go take the Jewish people out of Egypt. And he tells him, go get my Jews, and he refers to them as B'ni Bechori Yisrael, my son, the firstborn Israel. And Rashi the commentator says, that is only now that God, and meaning at the end of the Egyptian exile, that God gave his seal of approval to the sale that Yaakov made, to the sale of the birthright that Yaakov bought hundreds of years earlier. Only now did God approve that sale, and only then were the Jewish people, did they really earn that title. And the question is why? It was a legal sale. Yaakov didn't coerce Esav into anything. They both agreed. Why does it take hundreds of years? I once heard a great interpretation from a colleague of mine who interpreted it as follows. There was a great lesson in this. What the Torah is trying to teach us is, you can sell, meaning lose, a birthright, a very important spiritual status, over beans. And by the way, you know how you say beans in Yiddish? Bubkes. The famous Jewish idea that, when you get a good deal, you say, how much you pay for it? I paid Bubkes for it. That comes from the story of Yaakov and Esav, who literally paid Bubkes for the birthright, which was an extraordinary spiritual state and status. So you can lose your birthright for a few Bubkes. You can never earn a birthright or anything meaningful and true and real for Bubkes. It doesn't work that way. It was only after the Jewish people went through Egypt, and they went through the hardships and stood their ground and remained loyal to God and their faith and their Torah and their peoplehood and their ancestors, their Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They remained loyal. Only then does God say, now you are my firstborn. You paid Bubkes for it in the past, but you didn't earn it. Now you earned it, and now you have it. And that's how it is. It may be unfair. What takes us hundreds of years to earn, decades to acquire, you can lose for Bubkes. That's how it is. You know it from your own life. How long, your children, you invest in them so much. How many parents come to me and say, Rabbi, what happened to my child? I put everything into them. My wife and I, we put in so much with nights and weeks and decades and money and everything we gave them. And look they lost it over nothing. They got involved with a few bad friends, a few stupid decisions they made, and now we have to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on rehabilitation and all kinds of situations. What they earned in decades, they lost in one foolish decision. That's how life is. If you want to have real spirituality, real relationships, real connections, you got to invest in it. You can lose it like this. You can lose it in an instant. You say one bad word to a person who you love for many years, and that's it, and it's lost. I hope relationships don't go down that easy, but sometimes they do. You can lose good things in a moment. You can acquire good things in a moment. You can lose them for Bubkes. You can't earn them for Bubkes. A lot of people tell me, my uncle, my grandfather, my Zayda was a sheikhet, he blew the shofar, he was a Torah reader, he was a rabbi, I go into a lot of homes and you see on the walls men with beards and women with religious looking, and then people proudly say, that's my great-grandmother, that's my great-grandfather, that's my great-uncle, and so on. Yeah, I know that in each and every one of us was invested tremendous amount of effort, pain, sweat, even blood. But you know what? We can lose it all for a few silly Bubkes. Don't let that happen. What you earned, what your parents and grandparents and great-grandparents invested to give you what you have, your connection to Judaism, don't lose it over a momentary, silly enticement, which is really silly bupkes. Don't let that happen. I want to wish everyone a good week and Shabbat Shalom, and cherish the gifts that your ancestors invested so much to bequeath to you. Don't give it up for silliness and for bupkes. Good Shabbos.